the 2nd of Secorpo, which is November 9 in your Roman calendar. And we've had the first snow of the year. Barely any snow, but still snow. More than frost. It is snow. The roosters are intolerable this morning. They've been sounding off endlessly for at least half an hour. They're saying, feed us, it's cold. So time for food. It's Wednesday, November 12th. I've been reading Sinead O'Connor's autobiography. I'm almost through it in 2 sittings. I'm so pleased that I got it, and it's given me so much more insight into her. It's like a winter wonderland here. It's been raining, or it was raining a little bit, and it's been snowing for a couple of days. There's a bunch of little birds. There's actually 3 little birds in the tree. 1 still remains. Oh, 2. I'm tempted. I'm tempted by Bob, but I won't sing. I won't sing. It would do me no justice. But Sinead did Bob great justice. Anyways, none of you will know what I'm saying, but there's one person in particular who would do very well reading that book. Anyways, that's all for today. Pretty incredible how these apple trees here are holding on to their leaves. Though with all the snow, they did shed quite a bit of leaves. You gotta eat the leaves off the ground, hon, like your brother. Benny figured out you gotta eat the leaves, hon. No, you can't have any back. No. You gotta get it off of the ground. You gotta get the leaves off the ground. Look at your brother. There's leaves all over the place. Oh, good boys. They gotta clean up all these leafies. But yeah, it's interesting that pretty much of all of the trees, these apple trees have held their leaves longer than anything, and they're still pretty green even after some deep freezes and snow and everything. It was just they were hanging real low from that heavy snow, which brought a bunch of the leaves off, but they're still looking good. Saving some leaves for late in the season for the boys. What are you boys doing? Watching the sunset? Isn't there any food over here? Any food to graze? Boys, Han, look at that beard. Look at that beard on Han. Benny doesn't rock the beard. Han also gets all the ticks. He runs a little high. The ticks always going after Han, not Benny. What are you boys doing? Come find some food. There's gotta be food around here to eat. Yeah, there you go. Got a wood stove swapped out today in the G loft. Smaller wood stove swapped out for a larger wood stove. All good. The boys have been in the pen over here eating bark off of branches and a little bit of hay. Hey dude, I love you. Oh, you good boy. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you. Oh, he's just the sweetest boy. What about Han? Han, what are you doing? Come on, boys. You can find the food. It's gotta be all over here, I'm sure. And you want to build a little hut? It's got a wood stove already. Just gotta make an insulation hut. Someone can live off grid here at the base of the citadel. So it is November 20th, and the project yesterday was swapping out this wood stove, which was in the G loft over here. You can see the kind of chimney pipe, so like right in there, and swap that out for a considerably bigger wood stove, which will put out a lot more heat. And so that's just an extra wood stove I'll end up putting in another place. And then today, project I started is framing out this area. So basically I'm going to enclose this left arch area. I'm going to frame out the front of it. And oh boy, look at the cloud seeding going on. Bastards. And then I'm just gonna frame like around this column right here, and then intersect like right there, and just kind of enclose that arch right there. So that'll insulate the column, and then that'll enclose this whole area here. So this is how far I've got so far. I've got a couple 2x6s kind of squared up, and basically I'm gonna make a flat line over the top there, and then I'll kind of angle it up to the cement after I can get this first kind of wall in. So it's Friday evening, and I framed in the corner there to enclose the arch. You can kind of see how shabby and sketchy I do the kind of like footers for here. None of this is structural. It's basically just giving a shape for the panels. And so I just use these little scraps of Trex that I salvaged. I went to a job site and salvaged a whole bunch of material. That's what's left over. There was some 2x and Trex and other kinds of material that I salvaged from there, and so I'm using all that Trex kind of, so you can just see it's all like uneven. There's just sort of making it work to get the to get the spruce or whatever it is, the 2x6s off of the ground, and then screw the Trex on underneath, and then just kind of foam underneath the Trex, and that'll be good enough. So when all is said and done, this whole column here will be within the insulation sheath, thermal buffer zone, whatever. And so that's going really well. And I don't even think I'm gonna put a door in this side for now. I'm just gonna enclose basically up to that arch. But that's pretty much all for today. Made some good progress over here, and then I'm gonna end up putting more of that either polycarbonate or acrylic for like windows there and maybe there. Might be able to get away with just one full sheet and split it into 3. So like one there, and then maybe one up top. And then there's going to be like a recycled front door for that space. And all the ground is uneven. It's down at a slope, but I made the top even, and that top is just about even. So I'm going to have to do some sort of angle to go from the top over there. And one of the biggest issues is figuring out how to get the top of the 2x6 wall kind of like reinforced, so that because there's nothing really reinforcing it right now. There's this thing right there, and then there's one there that's going in, but once I take those out, I'm gonna need it. Right now it's like foam. There's foam over here is holding in. I'm really good with doing structural foam. I'm kind of master of structural foam. That's how you know you got real skills, is when your foam is structural. And yeah, over here it's big square pieces, so that'll go pretty easily tomorrow. Got about 4 cans of foam in there today. Do a batch of kind of after doing the wood framing, and you can see I got all 8-foot 2x. So in some of these there's just like little pieces extending. I had one 10-foot 2x left over from before. Otherwise I just got 8-foot 2x because that's what easily fits in my vehicle. And so I just use kind of like scraps to extend it up to that height or whatever, and works just fine. So yeah, I just do kind of like panels, enough for 1 can of foam, and then I'll do the can of foam, take a little break until that cures, and then do the next one, and try to get like gaps in between the panels so that there's enough space to foam so that it can get nice and tight. And yeah, that's all for today. It is November 26th. I've got a lot of this front part enclosed, a lot of that back part enclosed. I got materials yesterday. I've got the boxes in. I'm gonna put like 1/4-inch acrylic panels in those 3, and I'm gonna have to make another custom door. Right now what I'm doing is the last batch of mortar, so I'm just gonna kind of berm it up against that little footer type thing I did to help to keep the water out. So I added a good bit of calcium nitrate, along with about a half, or I don't know, some Portland and some of that, and 3 buckets of this and some concrete bonding adhesive, so it should cure really quick and be extra strong as far as the Portland. And hopefully I can keep it kind of dry, and we'll see how it goes. So halfway through the batch, I've got some up along the bottom, and then I'm trying to get the water to run off the side here, and then also in this corner where it was kind of pooling a little there and going the wrong way because all of this umbrella insulation is all kind of slanted. And so basically I'm going to give it about 20 minutes. Hope that it sets a decent amount in 20 minutes. And then I'll come through and add more, and hopefully the stuff in the mixer sets less than the stuff on the ground. That's the idea. And so 20 minutes and we'll get the other half on. So it is November 29th, and you can see how this mortar turned out. It all turned out pretty good, except for right over here underneath this drain. I had like a bucket on here, but it ended up raining that evening, and this area here wasn't cured enough, so the water overflowing from the bucket washed a little bit of it out. You can see how much fiber is in there. But otherwise, it all turned out well. So it rained that night, and then it got below freezing ever since, basically. So it's really not probably ideal for the curing. But I don't know exactly how it works. I think it'll just cure really slowly over a long time. I don't know if the freezing like arrests, like if say next spring it warms up, like it'll still be curing, it'll still be getting harder. I don't exactly know how it goes, but basically this will run off here now, which is good, and all of that will shed the water, and so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm glad I got it all on there, and it's a lot better than before, essentially. And then today I got the first two of these acrylic panels on. I'm cutting them now with this whatever this is called, multi-tool saw thing, which works pretty well. It basically ends up like melting the edge rather than like cutting it, kind of. It's like cuts, but it really just kind of melts. And it takes a while. It might take like 5-10 minutes for a cut. Probably more like 5 minutes, but I'm happy with that process. It's a lot less stressful than trying to score it a million times, and then like there's danger of doing that too, scoring it. Anyway, so that's the last piece, which I'm now gonna frame up for the top part there. And like here, that top one, it's kind of at an angle, and then I just kind of like made it. It's not all like the same angle, basically. Maybe if I come over here, you can get a good idea of it. You see how the top one is kind of at like a different angle than the rest of them. But anyways, the middle one I'm gonna frame with like a 2x4, and then it's gonna be like at an angle back, and it's gonna be at a different angle. But that's where I'm gonna put that. And then after I get that, maybe I'll do some, I don't know about today. That's about the extent of my ambition today. But basically then I just have to kind of close in these holes, foam in these holes, and then do a door and figure that out. And then on this wall over here, so this pink thing will be for the door. And then I've got this wall mostly filled except for kind of the pieces around the corner. So just kind of piece foam, put pieces of bigger foam in there, and then use the spray foam to kind of close it all up. But already it's like, it's a big difference in here, at least when the wind, like it can get pretty windy. Like as soon as I step out here, it's windy, and the wind chill makes it cold. So even though it's not even enclosed, it's like a big difference just to be in there. But anyways, that's how far all this has come. And you can see kind of what the outside here looks like, and here where there's an angle, just kind of putting little pieces of insulation, and all the pieces of this that I cut off, I'll then kind of like put them into cracks like that and kind of foam them in, and that was left over from the last door. But yeah, I'm just glad that cement for the most part turned out well. And even here where it's kind of messed up, it shouldn't, well, hopefully it won't leak underneath. And that was the main reason. It was to make sure the water doesn't go underneath of there, and to make it all kind of run off. And like here, it probably won't cure super well because there was like water there. But anyways, I'm happy with how it turned out. And I think because I added the extra Portland and the the calcium nitrate, it cured kind of fast enough, and I think it'll cure for quite a while. But anyways, on to this last window. So it's the end of the day on Monday, December 1st, and I got that top window in, and you can see from here how it's kind of at a little bit of a different angle. And then I got this door in, It is a super tall door. The door is not finished, but it opens, and it has a normal latch, which is cool. And I'm gonna put a window or two in the door as well, but it's just nice to get that in, and it's swinging, and to get that window in. There's some a snowstorm forecasted, and now that this is all enclosed, most of the snow should stay out of there. But that's all for today. It is Friday, December 5th, and I'm working on sealing this entryway foyer. I don't know how you say it, but this room, which is the entryway to the entry hall, the foyer to the entry hall foyer. And then for this unit as well, it's a entryway, so it's going to be a thermal buffer zone. So it's insulated on the walls. I'm going to eventually insulate the dome on top, but I don't know when. But right now I'm just working on sealing this all off. So I built this door. It's a nice tall door, and it had put this little kind of thing on the end to cover up the gap. Recycled this doorknob from my days at CVD, Champlain Valley Dispensary, the first dispensary in Vermont, and I was the cultivation manager, basically doing the first legal grow in Vermont, and did amazingly well. And so it was super successful, and that was kind of my financial basis to get me here. But the boss was an a-hole, and he lost it all because he's an a-hole, and he got what he deserved. Anyways, carrying on. So I've also got you can see the gap in this door here. I've got to do weather stripping there, and then I've got this last hole over here. I've got to fill that and make sure I don't mess up the drain as I try to like foam around it. So I might have to cement that in, but once you cement it, it's kind of permanent, so we'll see about that. I'll probably just not cement it and just do some kind of foam thing. But basically I've just got that corner left, and then weather stripping the door. And so there's green plywood particle board on the outside, and so it has one layer of 1 inch in between the 2x4s, which are kind of framing in that window, and that window is basically just kind of like foamed into place. And so I'm going to add this second sheet of 1 inch board so that there's better insulation on the door like that. And I just wanted to kind of give you a shot of that. And basically and I'm just kind of piecing in around this arch and foaming in, getting all the little holes so that it won't be drafty in here. And you can kind of see how the frost on the windows, how that's just from like my breath from my air instantly freezes up on the windows, because that's the least insulated area. And by the next video, this whole area should be all insulated, and then I'll give you a shot of the outside as well. It's not pretty, but it's gonna work very well. And so it'll help a lot for this unit. You can see it was like hard to seal this window, so you can see there's like condensation and some stuff there, and there's this whole thing on the door there. And you can kind of see condensation and ice builds up, and it was a bit of an issue. Last winter there was like a wool blanket that went over that, and then this was outside, so there was snow like on the ground all around here, and you'd have to like shovel out here, and the wind would come right up against that. And so this whole room here makes a huge difference. And then it can also be kind of like a mud room once I clean it all up and get this stuff out. So yeah, and the floor is all insulated because this is all like 1 foot insulation panels that I'm standing on. And then that column there, which is structural for the Molly Stark Tower, by having the whole column insulated inside the thermal umbrella area, it decreases the risk of there being any frost heaves underneath of it, because even though there's insulation umbrella going around it, if it was outside and the column itself got all frozen, that would like help to freeze the area underneath. So anyways, lots of good things. Eventually I could probably like cut a door in this thing here to get access over there, and maybe at some point a window as well. Oh, now that I think of it, I've got like this tiny little polycarbonate. I've used every piece of the acrylic or polycarbonate that I have, except for like a 10-inch by foot and a half piece. So I might end up cutting that in somewhere to put a little window over there, and then later on put a door in there, or maybe put the window in the door. I don't know, but I'm in no rush to do that. I just want to seal this all up. So around the door in that corner, and then some more foam over here, and this room will be effectively insulated, as well as a little bit more on the ground there. Today is December 13th, 1 week to go before the winter solstice. It's the middle of Trinitas, the third month in Elodium. And the project for today is in the power tunnel here, or battery bank number 3. And what I'm doing, or I'm in the process of doing, is doubling the capacity of battery bank number 3. So there's 900 amp hours up above in these lithium ion batteries, lithium life batteries. Or actually, I just realized this battery might actually be different than those batteries. I didn't realize that before. I think these are all life batteries. There's 7 life batteries, and then these are lithium ion batteries. I'll have to look into that to see if they're the same kind of battery or not. Should say right here. You can't see. Anyways, I'll cut some of that out. So what I'm doing today is I'm doubling from the 900 amp hours, and I got 3 batteries that each are 300 amp hours. So I'm doubling it from 900 to 1800 amp hours in the battery bank up here. The most recent upgrade I did was adding this converter, I think it's called, which can plug into a generator to deliver 100 amps to recharge this battery bank. And I've had to use it once, and it worked really well. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of expanding this wood backing. I got this 2x10 in there, which is just screwed into these, kind of just made this, it's all kind of expanding as I go, kind of adding space for the various hardware pieces, basically. So I screwed that into the 2 vertical pieces of 2x4 to get this out here, and now I'm, this is all recycled wood from this job that I salvaged it from. And so now I'm screwing this piece of like scrap siding onto the 2x4 to give me a vertical face where I can put other pieces of hardware. And so I'm going to add another piece next to that to extend that up. And then I'm going to end up wiring these 3 batteries in parallel. And then I'm going to try to like connect the 2 battery banks, which are both 900 amp hours, somewhere in the middle, and then have like the charge controller and the inverter and everything connecting off of some kind of thing in the middle, which I think I'm going to use these circuit breaker things, which I'm not really sure, but I'm going to use them as like a terminal, essentially, so that basically this right here would be the terminal for the positive, and then I've got another one which will be the terminal for the negative, and then that middle ground will be where the 2 battery banks connect and where the charge controller and inverter and converter will all connect to that middle point. So that's basically the idea. There's some pieces that I don't have, so I might not even be able to get this finished in this whole video. But that's what I'm doing right now, is expanding this. I've got a bunch of solar panels too. I think I have a total of 1,400 watt panels that, all of this is super cheap. It's incredible how much cheaper all of this is now than when I started 10 years ago. It's almost like somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of the price for batteries and solar panels now than it was a decade ago. So gotta love the free market, and that these things aren't tariffed yet anyways, but this is a great thing to put extra funds into expanding the power system here. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'll give you another shot at the end of the week, both of this and of the finished room out there, or as finished as it's gonna be for the wintertime. It is December 14th, and yesterday I got those batteries installed, so that battery bank number 3 is doubled from 900 amp hours to 1800 amp hours, and set it up so that anyways, I'll show later what I did. But today what I'm doing is setting up one of 2 solar upgrades. So I'm gonna put 6 panels right here. This is like the living room, and this is like a thing kind of insulating the tire wall here. And so I'm gonna put 6 panels here, and then see if I can't wire them all up and connect them to the upgraded battery bank. And I shouldn't really need to do anything as far as mounting them. This is like a good angle, and I'll just lean them right here. Simple enough. The wiring will be the tricky part. So, success. Got 7 panels hooked up. 6 are bifacial, and this last one is just a not bifacial, but they all have the same voltage and amperage from the same company, so I think it's okay to have them all in parallel, and they're all connected to the batteries all together now, making like 3 watts or something because the sun is now set. But nice to get them all hooked up, and now they don't have the best angles for sunlight, but it's better than before, and the panels are cheap. And I've got 7 more panels to hook up at a future date, but this is all good for today. So 3 of them have there's a 3-to-1 connector there for 3 of the panels, and then for these 4 panels there's a 4-to-1 connector there, and then just ran a cord from the 3 to the 4, and then so there's a 2-to-1 there to connect the 3 and the 4, and then a 10-gauge wire to carry the maximum 700 watts over to the battery bank. It's December 16th. We got a bit of sunshine, and we're close to the 4 or 5 days from the equinox, so the sun is like in its kind of lowest arc in the sky. And you can see how these new panels, even though there's sunshine, when the shadow of the wall of the citadel, these new panels aren't really getting that much sun. It has to be earlier in the day or later in the day to not be in the shadow of the citadel. But they're still getting some power, which is good, and the ones up top are in full sun. And finally, there's a nice full sunny day. I did a resupply today, and it'll be all good for another month. Basically, I do endurance maxing, or efficiency maxing, I guess you could say. So I go 3 or it was almost 4 weeks minus a day since the last resupply. So, but overall winter I can get through with only like 3 resupply trips if I'm efficiency maxing. That's all for today. Oh, I'll give you a shot of the outside, how that turned out, and then of the battery bank. So here's how this thermal buffer zone on the left arch turned out. Made a simple door and used a recycled doorknob, recycled window. Everything on the door is recycled except for the 2x4s. And I got that one piece of acrylic cut into 3 for the other 3 windows. And so it's really simple, but it's all foamed in, and it's tight enough so that the area inside of there is all closed off and captures heat from the entry hall as well as the G-loft unit. And then it's nice and protected from the wind, as well as the snow stays out of here. So works well thermally. And there's another 7 solar panels I still have to set up, but this area is all finished. And then I'll show you the battery tunnel, which is right in here. Now this turned out, the battery tunnel performs like really well thermally. Might get a little fog on the lens, but let's see, try to get a little better lighting. So set up this charge controller, which the new panels are into, and there's a circuit breaker for the positive and the negative. I don't know if that's necessary, but I kind of redid the wiring so that the terminal, the battery and the inverter is connected directly, and then the power goes through a circuit breaker, and then it's the same thing on the black wire for over there. So it's a little bit messy. And then this is the backup, the charge converter to run a generator, which has the alligator clips to be able to connect directly to the terminal to charge the whole battery bank here. And I ordered some more wire and lugs, like thicker gauge wire. I'm doing research on like the proper gauge for the wires. Like if those 700 watts, if they got full power, there would be a good bit of loss using that 10 gauge wire, but they'll almost never get full power, so it should be just fine with that. But as I install more panels, I want to have ordered some 6 gauge wire and terminals. And anyways, both these charge controllers can do, I think, 70 amps, which are really cheap charge controllers to be able to handle 70 amps. So I could actually put them all into one. But anyways, that's how it turned out in the electrical tunnel. And the upgrades for now are all complete. I gotta wait for some more things before I get the other 700 watts of panels set up. And I might even order more. It's kind of fun to figure out where to put the panels and kind of maximize the solar gain from the available space. This whole tunnel is really well insulated, and then it's got the one window which gets some thermal gain on this wall, this ferrocement wall, which is really good for sort of passive thermal. And then this tunnel is also a thermal buffer zone. I'm going to do a little talk now about thermal buffer zones. So this is here in it's kind of like a moat, the drawbridge room and the water feature room. So the goldfish are in this water feature, and then this is the cistern to collect the rainwater, and then water can be pumped to here for the gray water. And so this room is a thermal buffer zone. The kitchen on that side is another thermal buffer zone, and then the whole entry hall in here, which is all messy and has all kinds of storage and stuff. This whole thing here is a thermal buffer zone. The roof is really well insulated, and you can see the walls, they are insulated. So there's a living space over here, which utilizes both of these thermal buffer zones. So the thermal buffer zone is basically in between the heated areas, so that heat loss from both heated areas is what heats the thermal buffer zone. And then the battery tunnel and that entry tunnel that's new are both thermal buffer zones for the other unit as well as my unit. And yeah, the thermal buffer zones basically, it's kind of like layering up. Like if you want to go outside in this weather, you want to wear your layers. The thermal buffer zone basically give thermal layers for the heated areas so that there's maximum thermal performance. I've been in my efficiency maxing. I have there's been like a week on end in this like freezing to sub-zero weather where I have had no fire, and because the ground is like 55 degrees, if everything's well insulated, the living space will stay at like 50-55 degrees even without a fire, even through the winter. So even if you don't have any wood to do the wood stove, everything stays above freezing and is like livable if you're kind of just insulate your body basically. And the thermal buffer zone is insulated by the ground. This whole room is framed in like the most creative and not like legit way, but it hasn't collapsed yet, so it's all good. Like there's like these 2x8s that are like leaning down to a post to this like one beam, and then everything's framed from that. Anyways, that's the end of the thermal buffer zone thing. We'll see if we have any other updates before the solstice. Look at this. This is what I get for buying a cheap flagpole. The bottom ring that I had the carabiner on to weight the thing down seems to have broke. Or maybe I don't know exactly what happened. But it's no longer being weighed down and it's whipping like a sail. It's actually kind of sketchy being up here, like in this wind. Walking up there, I was like, oh shit. So I don't know what happened. It seems like it didn't break. It seems like maybe somehow the carabiner just got unlatched in the wind, which seems a bit crazy. But I thought one of those plastic little things would have broke. But I gotta try to lower this thing now and reconnect the carabiner. So new solution, which I probably should have done in the first place, but I didn't want to because I thought it would hinder like the rotation of the clamp thing. But anyways, I tied it to the lower one instead of weighting it down, so now I can't move at all, and that should be better better solution, even though sometimes the fog might wrap a little bit around the pole, but it'll be good. It is December 20th, the last full day of fall. A lot of the snow melted after a couple days of warm weather. And what I'm doing today is I'm going to install another 400 watts of panels. There's Molly the Dragon over here, and the Stark flag on the Molly Stark Tower. So I'm going to put, I think, 2 panels right there. And then I'm currently thinking I'm going to put 2 panels here, like one there and one there. Unless I put some over there. If I could mount them really well, I could like install the panels in the in the Merlons there, which would be super cool. But I'll probably do that eventually, and then I'll probably end up putting panels in every Merlon, which would be super cool. At least on the ones that are facing the right direction. So yeah, I've got enough cords and connectors. I think I've got more coming, but I've got 7 panels to install, only 4 today, and so that's the project for today. So, a bit of a change of plan. I realized I could put 4 right here, and I also figured out that I have another one of these 4-to-1 connectors. I thought I had 2. I thought I had used both, but I only used 1 for the previous solar panel install. So I'm going to be able to put the 4 here, and at least 2 more, if not all 3, because I have 3 2-to-1s and 1 4-to-1. So I think that might mean I can get all 7, but we'll see how it goes. And you can see right now, it's basically the winter solstice, and so the day before, that's as low as this angle is going to get from the sun to there, and there's only like a couple inches of shadow. So this is it's really an ideal placement. There's only probably a couple weeks of the year where it'll have any shadow from that little ledge there. So I got my little bag here for my electrical wiring and stuff. I'll have to make some of these connectors. I've got a 50-foot 10-gauge wire, which will be more than enough, and I will get between 6 and 7 panels on. Hopefully I can get all 7. Alright, so I got them mounted with my trusty spray foam. I got all 7 in. I was 1 MC4 connector short, so I ended up just using some nuts and electrical tape until I get the connectors here. So I got all 7 installed, and now I just got to wire it on the other end. And I've got a little bit left in this spray foam. I'll wait for that to cure and then just give it a second go. It's super cold out here, but I've mounted everything with spray foam, and it does pretty well. Not to mention that the contour here, it shouldn't get too bad of wind like lifting under it. But anyways, gotta go wire the other side. All right, they're all wired up, and it basically tripled the amount. So there's another 700 watts. I had put 700 watts up in that front face, but basically there's so much more light up here because like the reflective surfaces, and it's up top versus down there. So the 700 up here was more than double the amount of the 700 down there in this kind of like late afternoon overcast weather. So it was up to 2 amps at like 14 volts. So like somewhere around 30 watts generating right now in this late afternoon heavily overcast, up from like 10 or more like 8 watts from before. So I'm just coming to put the rest of this foam up now. Even though it's cold, it's below freezing. It actually hasn't fully cured, it's still soft. But the main thing is to get the bond good with like the wall and whatnot. So yeah, and having this the silver gray epoxy is also reflective as well. You can see over here where the epoxy has done well and where it has not done so well. So here in the flat areas it's kind of flaky, and basically because I applied it late in the season, and wherever the water penetrates to the mortar, it messes with the bond. But I'll come through next year in good weather and reseal all of this. But anyways, so that's a great success. The whole power upgrade is complete. So now I think all this 800-ish watts, as well as the other 1400 watts I installed, are going to that big battery bank, as well as maybe 1 or 2 of these panels or something. But these 3 panels, those 2 panels, and these 4 panels are all going to battery bank number 1, which is the first one I set up. And then these 4, and I think these ones are split. I don't know exactly how it's working out on these ones, but there's 2 different wires, and I think they're going to 2 different battery banks. But anyways, so that's all complete. I basically just about maxed out this area. Once I get the connectors, I'll fix those connectors, and over time I still got more space to continue to upgrade. But that'll do it for the final fall video here at Castle Stark, which is the castle securing OG Foundation, which is the capital of the sovereign state of Lodium. And you can see how much fray is on the Stark flag currently. We'll see how long that flag lasts before I have to replace it. And now that I have it tied with that parachute cord, it's nice and tight. It makes a different sound on the front too, like a ripping sound on the leading edge of the flag, and it flies even better having the leading edge nice and tight. But that's all. Thanks for tuning in. I'll probably have one episode around the spring equinox. So that'll be one episode for the full winter, and at some point I'll get an aerial view so you can see that, and then I'll probably have some like vlog type videos. But that'll do it for all the projects for the fall. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later. To John Stark.
Oh, nice.
And that's what Starksboro is named after. It is John Stark. So the people. Oh, look what you did! There's you. Oh, you figured it out.
I'm very good at taking all the pictures.
So the people who founded Starksboro, it was in the a year or 2 after that battle, and then so they came up here, and then they named the town after him because he was
Did a good job.
And also the flag, the Green Mountain Boy flag is the Stark flag. So that's it looks the flag I'm talking about, yeah. So it's originally the Stark flag. So that was the